young Americans were volunteering to fly for Canada and England, but it had not yet occurred to a single one to volunteer for duty in China. That same night, Sung took Chennault to dinner with two famous journalists, Edgar Ansel Maurer of the Chicago Daily News and Joseph W. Alsop, Jr. of the New York Herald Tribune. Chennault shocked them when he reported that the Japanese were using an amazing new fighter plane in China. It was called the Zero. It could climb more than twice as fast as the American P-40. It was so maneuverable that it was suicide to engage it in a dogfight. But trained American aviators flying the most advanced American aircraft could be taught how to knock down the Zero. Chennault outlined his plan, but the journalists were as gloomy as Sung. The British legitimately had first priority on the best planes. Chennault's volunteer project, they felt, was doomed to failure. Chennault refused to be discouraged. He began to visit his old friends still in the Air Corps. They, too, shook their heads. He told them about the new Zero and handed over detailed information to the War Department listing its capabilities. It had a level top speed of 322 miles per hour and a range of 1,100 miles. It could climb 16,000 feet in 6 minutes and carried a cannon and 4 machine guns. Chennault was politely thanked, but War Department experts claimed it was impossible to build such a plane, and his information was filed and forgotten. Few in the Air Corps would listen to Chennault's pleas for help. Many high-ranking officers didn't like him and referred to him as the prima donna. He had always disagreed with their theory that high-flying bombers would win the next war. They firmly believed that bombers could not be stopped by enemy fighter planes and didn't even need a fighter escort. Chennault, like General Billy Mitchell, was never one to speak out quietly or politely. Mitchell, a fiery advocate of air power, had sacrificed his career in a public battle with superior officers who could not see the importance of a mighty United States Air Force. Chennault was just as fiery and indignant. He had criticized the bomber theory bluntly and loudly, claiming that his superior officers were completely wrong. As could be expected, they now refused to help him. In the next few weeks, while China was hopefully waiting for help, Chennault toured from coast to coast, begging for planes and pilots. To anyone who would listen, he talked of the growing danger in the Orient. He predicted that Japan was preparing to seize Singapore, the Dutch East Indies, and even America's possession, the Philippines. Few listened. All eyes were focused on Europe and the gallant battle England was waging against Hitler. Two men did listen. They were Frank Knox, Secretary of the Navy, and Henry Morgenthau, Secretary of the Treasury. At President Roosevelt's cabinet meetings, these two began to plead the cause of Chennault and China. About this time, Chennault was also introduced to a lawyer, Thomas J. Corcoran, better known as Tommy the Cork. He was one of the brilliant young men who were advising President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Like Dr. Sung and the President, he was a graduate of Harvard. For the past year, he had been working undercover for the Chinese resistance movement in an organization called China Defense Supplies. At their first meeting in Corcoran's apartment, Chennault explained, in his slow southern drawl, the situation in China. He unrolled a map and pointed out a number of Chinese airfields far behind the enemy lines. "You talk about operating airfields way inside Japanese territory," said Corcoran dubiously, "but how's it going to be done?" Chennault said he had built the fields himself. He knew every curve of the mountains. He knew all the people. "I can jump in and out of these fields at will. I'm surrounded by friends. I can smash the Japs, and before they can get at me, I'll be gone." Corcoran was utterly fascinated by such an unorthodox concept. An ordinary military man would have thought it impossible. This, obviously, was no ordinary man. And he wasn't just a dreamer. He knew his facts. After Chennault told about the new Zero, Corcoran said, "But, Colonel, we haven't anything to give you. Our P-40 wouldn't stand a chance. Not unless I can train my pilots to act abnormally in handling the P-40. Was Chennault's mysterious reply. "I've studied the capabilities of the Zero. Like every plane, it sacrificed some capacities to attain others." He said he could train pilots to take advantage of the Zero's weaknesses and shoot them down. But these men would have to be restrained from fighting on terms advantageous to the Zero. "Get me the right men with the right training, and I can teach them to beat the superior Zero with the inferior."